Hello and welcome to the course Design and Analysis of Algorithms. The topic for discussion for today is graphs. A graph is a data structure containing a set of vertices and a set of edges, where edge in an edge set represents a connection between a pair of vertices in a vertices set. There are many real-world applications of graphs. For example, computer networks, World Wide Web, social networks, electric circuits, and Google Maps. An undirected graph is a graph whose edges are unordered pair of vertices. That is, edge E is incident on vertex U and on vertex V. Vertices U and V are adjacent to each other. A directed graph is a graph whose edges are ordered pair of vertices. That is, for edge E, U is the tail of the edge and V is the head. E is directed from U to V and is represented as U arrow V. An undirected edge is treated as two directed edges in opposite direction. A weighted graph is a graph whose edges are weighted. A simple graph is an undirected, unweighted graph that contains no loops and parallel edges. A complete graph is a graph in which each pair of graph vertices is connected by an edge. A path in an undirected graph is a sequence of vertices such that every consecutive pair of vertices is connected by an edge. A vertex is reachable from another vertex if a path exists between these two vertices. A path is simple if all its vertices are distinct. GHE is not a path because there is no edge between H and E. A cycle is a path where k is greater than 2 and the first k minus 1 vertices are distinct and the first and the last vertex are the same. An acyclic graph does not contain any cycles. A graph is connected if for every pair of vertices there is a path between these two vertices. The distance between two vertices is the minimum number of edges in the path. Length of the path is the number of edges in the path. A subgraph is a graph H whose vertices and edges are subset of another graph G. A degree of a vertex of an undirected graph is the number of edges that are incident on that vertex. In a directed graph, each vertex has an in degree and an out degree. An in degree of a vertex is the number of edges which are coming into the vertex. An out degree of a vertex is the number of edges that are going out of that vertex. The sum of the degree of all vertices in a graph is equal to 2 times the number of edges in the graph. That is because each edge is counted twice because of its both endpoints. The sum of the in degrees of all vertices in a graph is equal to the sum of out degrees of all vertices in a graph, which is equal to the total number of edges in the graph. A tree is an undirected connected graph that does not contain a cycle. A unique path exists between any pair of vertices in the tree. A group of tree is a forest. For an undirected graph G, if G is connected, then the number of edges is greater or equal to the number of vertices minus 1. If G is a tree, then the number of edges is equal to the number of vertices minus 1. And if G is a forest, then the number of edges is less than number of vertices minus 1. A graph has two input parameters, number of vertices which is equal to n and number of edges which is equal to m. The size of graph is defined to be m plus n, and our goal is to strive for algorithms whose runtime is linear in graph size, that is big O of m plus n. There are two ways to implement graphs. First is the adjacency matrix, which is an n cross n Boolean matrix where the entry in row I and column j is 1 if and only if the graph contains an edge between vertex I and vertex j. Since we are using a two-dimensional matrix, the space used is n square. If you want to check if there is an edge between vertex I and vertex j, it requires only one operation, since we can exactly go and look at that specific index of the matrix. If you want to iterate over all edges incident on vertex I, it requires n operations, as we have to scan the row of that matrix for that particular vertex. The second method to implement graph is the adjacency list, which is an array of linked list, where a specific index of the array stores the list of all vertices adjacent to vertex v, where nv is equal to the number of neighbors of a particular vertex v. The space used by adjacency list is n plus the summation of all number of neighbors of all vertices, which is n plus m, and is optimal for every graph. If you want to check if there is an edge between a vertex u and v, it requires n u time, which is the amount of number of neighbors for that particular vertex. Similarly, to iterate over all the edges incident on a vertex also requires n u time, which is the number of neighbors of that particular vertex, as we have to scan through the linked list for that particular vertex. Most graph algorithms involve searching for a path from one vertex to another. Sometimes we want to just find out any path or know if there is a path existing between two vertices. Sometimes we want to minimize the path length. Sometimes we want to minimize the path cost. Or sometimes we want to visit every vertex in a graph exactly once. The order in which the vertices are visited may be important and may depend on a particular algorithm. The two most common traversals are breadth first and depth first. During a traversal, we must keep track of which vertex has been visited. The most common approach to this is to provide some sort of marking spot. The first of the graph traversal algorithm is the breadth first search, where the idea is to explore the graph starting at source node S and going outwards in all directions, adding vertices one layer at a time. The distance from each vertex in a single layer to the source is the same. All neighbors of a vertex is visited before visiting the neighbors of the neighbors, often implemented by maintaining a queue of vertices to visit. To keep track of progress, each vertex is colored using one of the three colors. White color represents that the vertex has not been discovered. Initially, all vertices are colored white. Gray vertices are those that are discovered but not yet visited, may have some adjacent white vertices. Black vertices are discovered and visited, adjacent to only black and gray vertices. The vertices are explored by scanning adjacency list of gray vertices. For each vertex, the following information is maintained. It is the color, the predecessor, and the distance from source S to that particular vertex. Following is the pseudocode for the breadth first search algorithm. Here we are maintaining a queue that always contains the set of gray vertices, that is, that we are marking the vertices when they are discovered. Initially, at the first step, only the source vertex, which is the starting vertex, will be added to the queue, and then this while loop is doing the main work. So we dequeue the first vertex, which is the source, and then for each of its neighbors in the adjacency list of that vertex u, what do? We see if the color of that vertex of the neighbor is white, which means that it has not been discovered, and we have discovered it now, so we color it gray. We increase the distance by 1, and we set u as the predecessor of this vertex, and then we add this vertex in the queue because it has been discovered. Once that is done, we color the u vertex, which was our starting vertex, as black because that has been visited. So in the first iteration, the source vertex will be marked black because that has been discovered and visited. In the next iteration, we dequeue a vertex which will be, and it can be any neighbor of the source vertex. Given the following graph, let's see how this algorithm works. The first 4 lines are the for loop, which initializes all the vertices of the graph except the source node. So we are coloring all the vertices as white because they have not yet been discovered. The distance of all these nodes or vertices will be infinite because we have not discovered them, so we don't know the distance. And their predecessors have not been discovered yet, so we initialize them to nil. In the 5th line, we are initializing our queue to be empty. Next, we will initialize the source vertex. Since the source vertex is the starting vertex, its distance will be 0. Its predecessor will be nil because it does not have any parent. Since it has been discovered, the color will be assigned to gray, and then the source vertex will be added to the queue. In the next step, we will move on to the while loop. So the figure is showing after the completion of the first iteration of the while loop. Initially, we had source S vertex in the queue, which was dequeued from the queue. For all of its adjacent neighbors, which in this case was W and R, their color was white, so we colored them gray. The distance has been increased by 1 plus that of the distance of U, which is in this case is 0. So the distance will become 1. U has been assigned as a predecessor of V, which means for R and W, the predecessor will be S. And then we NQ these neighboring vertices in the queue. So R and W are placed in the queue. Once we are done with the neighbors, we will mark the vertex that was dequeued as black. So at the end of the first iteration, our source vertex will be marked black because we have already visited that vertex. In the next iteration, since W was at the head of the queue, we dequeued W from the queue, colored all the neighbors of W which were white, we colored them as gray, we increased the distance by 1, we set the predecessor as W for T and X, and then we added T and X into the queue as this line suggests. Since W was dequeued in this iteration, we will mark W node as black. In the next iteration, we dequeue R from the queue as it was in the head of the queue. We check for the neighbors of R whose color was white. In this case, the color of V was white. We colored the V vertex as gray, increase the distance by 1. For V, we set the predecessor as R, and then we inserted V into the queue. And we colored R as black as it was dequeued in this iteration. The next value or the next vertex to be dequeued will be T as it is at the head of the queue. After vertex T is dequeued from the queue, its neighbors U was white, so we color that gray. X was already in the queue and already colored gray, so we ignored that. For the U vertex, we increase the distance by 1 and we set T as a predecessor of U. We added U to the queue and colored T as black. In the next iteration, X will be dequeued as it is at the head of the queue. After dequeuing X, its neighbor Y was of color white, so we colored that gray, increase its distance by 1 and set X as the predecessor of Y and added Y into the queue. Once that is done, we color X vertex as black since we have visited that vertex. The next vertex we dequeue will be V, which is at the head of the queue. Since V does not have any neighbors which are of white color, the for loop inside the while loop will not execute and V will be marked simply as black. In the next iteration, U will be dequeued from the queue. It does not have any neighbor of white color, so the if condition is false inside the for loop. So U will be colored or marked as black, and then the only vertex that is remaining in the queue or in the graph is Y, which will be dequeued in the next iteration. Since Y does not have any white neighbors or white node as neighboring node, Y will be just marked black. In the next iteration, the while loop will exit as the queue has been emptied and all of the vertices of the graph has been visited. So what will be the time complexity of BFS? The initial for loop will take n operations as we are visiting n vertices. Initialization of the source vertex is just constant time operation. How many times will the dequeue operation run? Since each vertex is queued nq'd or dq'd ones only in the algorithm, and since there are total of n vertices, the dq operation will take n operations. Since for each vertex we are exploring all their neighbors, so this for loop will run summation of all neighbors of all nodes number of times, which in this case is order of m, which is the number of edges in the graph. So the total time complexity of BFS will be big O of n plus m. In addition to storing the graph, what will be the storage cost of maintaining a queue? Since the queue is maintaining the maximum number of neighbors a vertex can have, the total storage space required for the queue will be big O of m. BFS builds breadth-first tree in which paths to root represent shortest path in the graph, for which the distance field of each vertex is used. If there is no path between two vertices S and V, then the distance is infinite. BFS calculates the shortest path from one vertex to another in order of n plus m time. Using the predecessor field, the shortest path can be traced from V to S in order of n time, since we are storing the predecessor in the predecessor field. The second graph traversal method is the depth first search, where the idea is to explore the graph starting at source node S and exploring each possible path as far as possible before backtracking. That is, we traverse the first edge out of S, say to node V, and then traverse the first edge out of V, and so on until a dead end is reached, and then we backtrack. To implement this, we maintain a stack to store vertices to be explored. We maintain an array explored and set explored of a vertex as true when the algorithm pops V from the stack. Given the following graph, let's see how the DFS algorithm works. To start off with, for each vertex, we mark the explored value as false since we have not discovered any vertex yet, and we initialize the stack and push the source node or source vertex S onto the stack. So in this graph, we start off with vertex 1 as the source vertex. So we add source vertex 1 to the stack. In the first iteration of the while loop, we pop from the stack and vertex 1, which was in the stack, is popped. Initially, its explored value was false, so we set it as true. So we color it blue here. And then for each neighbor of source vertex 1, we push those neighbors to the stack. So initially, we get one out of the stack and add both of its neighbors to the stack. In the next iteration, we pop 3 from the stack. So we mark 3 as explored and add all the neighbors of vertex 3 to the stack. A vertex may be on the stack more than once. In the next iteration, 8 will be popped from the stack and its unexplored neighbor 7 will be pushed to the stack and 8 will be marked as explored. In the next iteration, 7 will be popped from the stack because 7 is at the top of the stack. After vertex 7 is popped from the stack, since vertex 7 does not have any unexplored neighbors, it will just be marked as explored. Similarly, again at the top of the stack there is a 7. We pop that again. Since it does not have any unexplored neighbor, so in this iteration anything will not get done. In the next iteration, vertex 5 is popped from the stack and marked as explored, and all its neighbors are inserted into the stack. In the next iteration, vertex 6 will be popped from the stack as it is at the top of the stack. After 6 is popped from the stack, it is marked as explored. Since it does not have any unexplored neighbors, we move on to the next iteration. In the next iteration, 4 will be popped from the stack as it is at the top of the stack. After vertex 4 is popped from the stack, it is marked as explored, and its neighbor, which is unexplored, which is vertex 2, is pushed into the stack. The next vertex to be popped from the stack is vertex 2, and since all of the vertices have been explored, no action in this iteration will take place, and in further all iterations the 2's that are in the stack will be popped until the stack is empty and the while loop terminates. So what is the time complexity of DFS? The initial for loop is initializing explode of each vertex as false, so it's going to take order of n operations. Adjacency list of a vertex is scanned only once, so this loop will execute order of n operations. And since each vertex is exploring its neighbor, the total number of times this for loop executes is the sum of the neighbor of all vertices, which is equal to the number 2 times the number of edges, which is big O of m. So the total time complexity in this case for DFS will be n plus m. So let's make a comparison between BFS and DFS. So both algorithms visit the same set of vertices but in a different order. Both traverse all the edges in the connected component but in a different order. BFS store visited vertices in a queue, that is first in first out. DFS store visited vertices in a stack, that is last in first out. BFS always find a shortest path, that is containing fewest number of edges. DFS guarantees to find a path, not necessarily the best or the shortest path. DFS uses less memory than BFS, and it is easier to reconstruct the path once found. I hope you have enjoyed watching today's video on graph and graph traversals. Thank you and have a good day.